In the world of politics today, there is a lot going on. Perfect timing for Caroline Heldman, professor of critical theory and social justice at Occidental College, who is here to break it all down for us, as she does every Thursday. Good morning, Caroline.
Good morning, Giselle. Great to see you.
Great to see you, too. Well, we are a month out from the midterms. Can't believe it. And there's this new poll that shows Democratic candidates hold a three-point lead over Republicans on the generic ballot, suggesting a very close contest for control of the Congress. Now, you've said for months that Republicans are still likely to retake the House. Has your opinion shifted?
No, because this is a generic ballot and these races are House races, right? We're looking at the House of Representatives. They're local races. And in many states, seats have been gerrymandered to benefit Republicans. It's been a long-term strategy for that party that's been very effective. So I don't think we'll see that. The Republicans just need to pick up 5 seats in order to swing the balance of power. And in a typical midterm election, the swing is about 30 seats on average. So I'm guessing that the Republicans will still take the House, and it looks like the Democrats will hold on to the Senate.
Well, in California, we have 5 congressional races that are in play. Could California decide who controls the House? I'm going to push back on you a bit here because there are some vulnerabilities here.
Absolutely, Giselle. And yes, for the first time in a very long time, California is relevant, right, in the race for the House of Representatives and in terms of control. We typically don't have many seats that are swinging or pushed in a different direction. But what's happened is with the redistricting, we do have some seats that are now competitive that previously were not. So yes, we might be a player in this election.
All right, let's look across the country. We've seen the majority of election deniers who are running for governor in swing states struggling in the polls. The exception being Kari Lake in Arizona, who has a real shot at becoming the governor. And some pundits say this is a real danger to our democracy. Why?
Well, it's a danger to our democracy because as a state executive, she could set a lot of policies pertaining to elections if indeed she wanted to follow up and overturn elections. She couldn't do that alone. Of course, the Secretary of State would have to be involved. But I think she is uniquely popular because she is a popular television host, Giselle. So, you know, if you want to run for public office, she has a leg up for that reason.
No, thank you, right? All right. Despite his recent trip to the region, President Biden unable to stop OPEC Plus from cutting oil production by as much as 2 million barrels a day. The timing, some say, is suspect, with some believing this is retaliation to hurt Biden in the midterms. What do you think?
I think that's an accurate assessment.
Really?
OPEC is very upset that Biden has been using the strategic reserves in order to lower gas prices. And so they are limiting their supply in order to jack prices up right before the election. I think it's probably strategic on their part. It really speaks to our immediate need to get off of fossil fuels and away from OPEC and that sort of control over our everyday lives and wallets.
All right, President Biden visiting Florida yesterday to survey the damage from Hurricane Ian, extensive, pausing his feud with Republican Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. With our country so polarized, what's the significance of these political rivals coming together?
Well, Giselle, I don't know how you felt about it, but when I was looking at those images, it made me feel good in the sense that DeSantis has been, savagely attacking Biden so that he can make his name as the titular, Republican candidate, the head of the party heading into the next election. And so what we saw with them coming together was something we haven't seen in a very long time. I don't suspect it will last. Also, I think DeSantis needs to be worried about those moments like, with previous governors who have gone across party aisles after disasters, and it's hurt them politically. I'm thinking of Chris Christie after Hurricane Sandy. So I don't think it'll last too long, but wow, what a good moment.
Yeah, to put politics aside, really, it was something to see. All right, on a more contentious note, former President Trump saying Mitch McConnell has a death wish after McConnell voted on this bill with Democrats to protect our elections. We've learned from January 6th that Donald Trump supporters follow his words literally. How dangerous is this rhetoric?
Well, it's incredibly dangerous. The New York Times just published an article looking at the rising rates of violence and vandalism and threats against members of Congress. And so it's very clear. I mean, look at January 6th, right? It's very clear that Donald Trump's words have consequences, typically in the form of stochastic violence, which is when the words from leaders actually lead to concrete actions from followers. So I would anticipate that, we will see possibly an increase in violence or threats against Mitch McConnell as a result of this.
All right, I have to ask you about the High Court. A recent poll showed the majority of Americans distrust the Supreme Court and think it is partisan. Big cases right now on the docket this term. What stands out to you most, especially for us here in California?
I think the big thing driving this is the overturn of Roe. I think that it's a singular moment in history where we had to revise the law book textbooks because it's not an expansion or a narrowing of precedent. It's actually an overturning of rights. And there may be other rights that will follow as a result of this, but this is the first time in U.S. history where we've had a major fundamental right overturned. And I think that's what's driving it in California and across the nation.
Yeah, high stakes right now in the High Court. All right, turning now, I have to ask you before we let you go to our local elections. This new poll by Berkeley, UC Berkeley, shows the Los Angeles race between for the mayor's race, businessman Caruso versus Congresswoman Karen Bass. It's tightened to just 3% lead for the Congresswoman. What's changed in this race that once saw Congresswoman Bass with a double-digit lead?
It's a surprising advance for Caruso, I will tell you that. I think that the things that have changed are the fact that Karen Bass had someone break into her house and take guns, and she won't say what the guns are, give more information about that. Then there's the USC possible, admissions scandal. But I think also Caruso did really well at the debates, and while people don't necessarily watch that, they're reading headlines the day after. So this is way tighter than Karen Bass would want it to be this close to the election.
All right, Caroline Heldman, professor of critical theory and social justice at Occidental College. Thank you for being with us. As always, I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of you in the weeks ahead as we're a month out from the midterms now.
Have a wonderful day, Giselle, and everyone.